maybe she's chipped away at his self-esteem, so he doesn't deserve any better, or he's not going to find any better, or he's like, there could just be so much here, but she is definitely abusing him in this relationship.
Should I cut my losses and move on? I've been seeing a beautiful and caring woman for the past 11 years, but we only lived together for about 5 of those in a home I purchased. I've wanted to marry her from the day I met her, but every time I've brought it up, she says we don't have the building blocks to do something that permanent. I'll admit things have been bumpy. Although we lived together, we often led separate lives. For example, she has 3 girls from a previous partner and did many school events with them, to which I was never invited because the girl's father was going to be there. Her 21-year-old daughter is a single parent, has been a constant source of problems. She does what she wants, when she wants, and she's always been like this. Her mother makes it easy for her. She and her baby lived with us for a while, and she continues to live with her mother to this day. We always seem to have other members of her family staying too. Her mother decided she wanted a fresh start and moved in with us shortly after we moved in together. And she stayed with us for a year, and it only ended because I demanded she moved out. But then we let her brother and his wife move into our rental property, another nightmare. I was getting confused then with who moved in where. They paid the rent infrequently and were not good tenants, so we didn't part on good terms when I kicked them out. Then 3 years ago, I had an affair with a colleague, though I'm not sure you can call it an affair because the woman I care for and I were never legally married. Yeah, we're coming back to that. Anyway, my colleague and I had a baby, but I still didn't want to leave my significant other. Although I was not going to leave my daughter without a father, I managed to get joint custody and my daughter lives with me 50% of the time, but my significant other has since moved out. We continue to see each other and we even say we're together, but there are no plans to live together anytime soon. Much as I miss her, I don't miss her lazy daughter, but maybe it's asking too much of her to love another woman's kid. One way or another, I've devoted a lot of time and energy to this relationship, but I'm not sure I was ever getting what I wanted. I wonder if it's time to cut my losses. And it's signed JR.
Yes. JR, get the fuck out.
Yeah.
It's his house, and she just has people moving into his house, seemingly without asking. She doesn't want to. The building blocks of how are you with someone for 11 years, living together for 5, and you still don't think you have the building blocks of the relationship? That's shady as fuck. So she's making his home a hotel. She doesn't invite him to things, even though they've been together for 11 years, because the girl's father is going to be there. That's ridiculous. She's either creating drama where there is none, or she's not really into this relationship, and she's just using him for the house and the extra room so her family can move in. Because 11 years later, with seemingly adult children, your ex-husband should know that you have this new partner and that he's a part of this children's life. She's keeping him completely separate from his life. He had an affair. It doesn't matter if you're not married, guy. It's still a fucking affair. And has a baby. Yeah, it is a lot to ask that this woman is going to be raising your baby and loving your child when I'm not even sure if she loves him. Like, just... And she's moved out. I miss her, but not her lazy daughter. They're kind of a package deal, as is the rest of her family. But he's talking about the 11 years. That's irrelevant. Cut your losses. Recoup some time. Be a father to this baby. Be with a woman if you want to be with her. But yeah, this 11-year relationship is to the ver. The end.
I think that was a very concise, well-worded response.
Thank you. I took notes.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was quite a roller coaster. Because, like, to start with, I was like, whoa, this woman sounds like a piece of work.
There's a lot going on there, yeah.
Yeah, and then when it gets to, like, the fact that, oh, I had an affair, but maybe it wasn't because we weren't ever legally married. It's like, no, you're in a relationship, and
it's still an affair.
Yeah, and I know we'll have all the other excuses, all the other shit that happened, but it's like, I just think you get to a point, particularly if you've sunk 11 years into a relationship, you can't just, it is an affair, no matter which way you want to try and spin it.
It is, but I mean, like, they've been together for 11 years, living together for 5, and she's not fully invested into this. Like, why did she even move in with him?
Yeah.
She wasn't invested in this relationship. And, like, after 11 years, you're not inviting this man into your child's life. Like, every day she is telling him she's not serious about this relationship. She's not taking him and the relationship seriously. It's no wonder he had an affair. Like, not that I'm excusing that type of behavior, but
it's one of those. It's one of those things that I think that people need to be more honest with themselves about why they've done it, because they can still make the decision not to have the affair. Like, just because someone's done something bad to you doesn't mean that you can then go out and do something bad.
My mom has this phrase, the saying, she goes, if you step on my toe, I want to step on your whole foot. Like, she is,
yeah.
She's an adorably nasty piece of work, that one. But like, she didn't do any one thing wrong. I think it was just the death by 1,000 cuts, right?
Yes.
Like she was just constantly chipping away at any type of future in this relationship. I mean, he could have just manned up and just broken up with her first, kicked her out, and then had the affair and been done with it. But no, he chose the coward's way out.
Yeah, and like, can you imagine, like, if being that guy, if you'd managed to get all the way through those 11 years with all of that shit going on, and then you can hold your head high and say, yeah, I nearly had an affair, it was all on a platter, but I didn't give into it. And then can you imagine how much your next partner would respect you for that?
Yeah, because you're coming from a toxic relationship and you didn't fall prey to what a lot of like that weakness. But also, I mean, here's a PSA for anybody who's listening. If you're going to have an affair, make sure your birth control game is fucking tight.
Right? Yeah, right.
Dukes.
Yeah, you take 0 chances. 0.
No, you condom, birth control pill, pull it out, finger crossing method, plan B, all make her jump up and down afterward, all of it.
Get the Henry Hoover out.
You do it all.
But yeah, he does need to cut his losses. Because the thing is the sunk cost fallacy is a real thing. People, it's very easy to fall prey to that, and you think, oh, I've put 11 years into this, Yeah,
and that's probably 10 too many, right? Like, you're not gonna. I've already put 11 years into it, so I may as well put another 50.
Yeah. And I wonder if sometimes that's because if somebody's been in a toxic relationship like that, I don't mean about this guy specifically, but when they're in a really toxic environment, they put in 10 plus years into a relationship, I think they kind of lose focus or perspective on what they're actually worth to other people. How much do they bring to the table? I mean, this is clearly a successful guy. He's been able to support his ex-dodgy partner doing all this toxic shit, and they've got a rented property and a house and all that stuff.
Yeah, and she is an abuser, because she's worn him down to the point where either the highs with her are so high that he feels like there is really love there, right? Like, she might like love bomb him when she's not being super shitty about everything else. So she's let him into that, or he feels like maybe she's chipped away at his self-esteem, so he doesn't deserve any better, or he's not going to find any better, or he's like, there could just be so much here, but she is definitely abusing him in this relationship emotionally.
Yeah, totally. Oh, maybe even financially too.
Yeah. Sounds like he's paying for everything. Yeah,
the fact that like she let her brother and his brother and her brother and her sister-in-law basically move into a rental property and completely financially abuse the guy, and like she let it happen. Like, it, from the way he's worded it, obviously we're only getting his side of it, but it sounds like that she just let her brother run roughshod all over her partner, and like
and her mom moved in for a while, like I wonder, but then there's also that, like, is he setting any boundaries, right? Or is she saying, my mom's moving in, and he's like, okay, honey, even though he hates it and he's seething? Because after the mom moved in, if he wasn't happy with that, or the daughter the first time around, he could have set those boundaries to say, like, your family is no longer, I mean, it's a difficult boundary to set, but how many times does this poor guy need to have his home invaded by her family before he's like, no mas, no more family?
Yeah. And that's the thing, is like, I think there's a lot of lessons for him to learn here. Like, if he has the, time or inclination to just think about what's gone on here, and like all of these little instances that, I mean, because, it's only like a page that he's written on. So obviously this is like a concise letter he's written. So only the most important stuff is in there. And that's going to be a lot of learning experiences, so that when he's ready to get a new relationship, like,
hopefully if he's now got shared custody with this other woman and their baby, he's like going from the, was that cliche, from the pot into the fire, really?
Yeah.
He's not going to have time to sit back and self-reflect because he's going to have to exit this woman out of his life. And then in the time that he should be alone with himself, figuring him shit out, he's going to be too busy converting a room into a nursery and taking care of a baby. Like he's until that baby comes, that's where he's got to like kick her out and take those few months to work on himself, which is probably not going to be enough time, but he's got to do it before the baby comes.
Well, I guess you can reflect for an hour every evening with a glass of whiskey.
When the baby's with the mother, then he gets to like, what have I done with my life? Where am I going? What's happening? How did I get here?
Like, do you want to see what Fiona said? I have no idea what she said, because again, I'm reading all this for the first time too. So you describe this woman as your significant other, but from the start of your relationship together, you've not been the only person in her life. She is obviously deeply committed to her family, and whatever you may think of her daughter, I suspect she loves her greatly. You tell me you often led separate lives, that she was still sufficiently in touch with the children's father to attend school events with him. You also tell me you had an affair with a colleague. Doesn't this all add up to something for you? You have never been loved enough by this woman, and it seems like you never will be. You looked for love and affection elsewhere, and perhaps you found it, although for reasons best known to you and to your colleague, you've decided not to make a future with her. The child you have with your colleague is not just another woman's kid. Had you had this daughter before you met your significant other, it might have been completely different, but the child is now a constant reminder that your relationship together wasn't enough. That's a good point. By the sound of it, it has never been enough. She has always wanted others around her, be it her mother, her daughter, or her brother. Isn't this a clue for you that however much you may care for her, she needs more than you can give her? You ask if it's time to cut your losses, but that's only something you can decide. If you are willing to accept things as they are, and then the relationship will probably continue in the same vein. I honestly cannot see it changing. If you're not, then yes, perhaps it is time for you to look for love elsewhere. Might that be with your colleague? If not her, then at least another woman who wouldn't have to look at your child and know however much she cared for you, it wasn't enough to stop you looking for love elsewhere.
I like most of that, except for when she says what she wanted was more than you can give her. Like she's making it sound like a failing on his part that this woman is leaving a separate life. I didn't care for that sentence at all.
No, same. I felt that like she was maybe the balance was just a bit off. That like she was kind of harsh on him when like he deserved it, but that wasn't returned to his partner, kind of thing. That like, yeah, no, she did do X, Y, and Z, was really shitty. She made it sound more like that his partner just wanted people around, you know, because she's really close to her family in a way that he isn't. And I
think she gave the ex a bit more of the benefit of the doubt than she needed. And then she needed more than you could give. Motherfucker, I gave her a house. I gave her I gave her 11 years of my life that she didn't reciprocate and like excluded me out of. Like how much more did she expect him to give? As soon as you're living with someone and they're not like, I'm so hung up on this, not inviting him to these, like he's lived with these children, depending on how old they are, since they were, they're adults now, since they were children, he's been in their lives. And she doesn't think that he's going to want to see them perform in a school play or go to their graduation or any of those things. Like she has kept him from playing the role that it sounds like he wanted to play as a partner and a father. And she's just kind of like, no. Thanks for the room and board.
Let's roll the next person in type kind of thing, you know?
I don't care for her. What a refreshing change to shit talk women for.
Yeah. But I think I think it's a healthier perspective that we've given anyway on the dilemma, because you find this a lot in a lot of these like newspaper agony aunts or whatever, that they're kind of biased one way or another, or they write themselves into their response, or you can see how they're projecting their own hang-ups on the person's thing.
I wonder how much of it is also limited by the fact that they only have a certain number of characters, right? Like they don't have as much space in that, because they want to get through as many questions as they can, presumably. So you've only got a few paragraphs. But I mean, if you only have a few paragraphs and you're going to pick the most concise and impactful things to say, victim blaming
is not the way to do it.
Not the road to take.
And I think this is kind of why I've been trying to get you to do this, actually. It's just because, like, over the last year of our friendship, that, like, you know, you've helped me out a few times with various bits of, you know, life advice giving or whatever. And
I'm thebomb.com, yo.
Yeah.
I just think today.
You know, other people could either get hilarity from it or they could get some help from it, you know. That's what I reckon.
Doing God's work, you are.
Yeah, I'm just sharing my joys with the world. That's what I'm doing.
This is fun. Are we doing another one?